संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। So today, as you have seen, we will discuss Sādhaka and Sādhana, means spiritual aspirant and spiritual practice. So we will discuss mostly on the basis of the most detailed life of Sri Ramakrishna written by Swami Sardhananda, but I have taken from 3 or 4 other sources also. So first of all, I think we all know that the practice of spirituality, practice of real religion is not at all easy. It is not merely a matter of choice that I want to practice religion, I will practice. Other things also which are very specialized in this world, they are also not a matter of choice. People are made for those things. For example, those who are top athletes. When we were students, there was one Carl Lewis athlete, USA. Maybe he had won 7 or 8 Olympic gold medals, something like that. So while testing his body, they had found that his lungs had a special power. It was not an ordinary person's lung. He could hold much more endurance was possible in his body. So he is made for that. Not everybody can become a Carl Lewis just by wishing. So here also, it is not merely a matter of choice. Many are the stages that must be covered before a human being reaches the point of real, serious religion. The vast majority of mankind are not fit to take the spiritual life seriously because they don't have that condition of the mind. They have too much body consciousnness and they are obsessed and bound by finite things, all the things of the world. So they are obsessed means their minds are simply clinging to those things. They cannot get rid of that just by saying. So even a far distant glimpse of the infinite cannot be yet for them. They want the pleasures of the body, power, earthly riches, long life, husband, wife, sons, daughters, and they are afraid of renunciation. The very name of renunciation will scare these people because their life depends on these worldly things. So thus most human beings live and die completely earthbound without any conscious effort to break through the limitations which bind us. So for them, religion can only be formal. Formal means it can only be submission to some beliefs and observances, forms, ceremonies. Oh, on this day we have to offer flowers to God, we have to perform some other things. Okay, done, religion is finished till the next year. So, religion is not real and vital to them. It is just one of those things in the world which they have to do. So, to most persons, we know that religion appeals only for its occasions of festivity, like all over the world. Some festival is there in the name of religion, hundreds will go. Here also you see some temples. When do people go? Oh, today is what? Durga Puja festival, Kali Puja. So that much is there for them. After that, they don't feel the need. So they think that if I have gone there on these occasions, I have offered some flowers to God, that is enough of religion. But for all of us, today or tomorrow, that blessed day will dawn when we will be searching for true religion, when we will be sick and tired of this worldly nonsense, this eternal grind, same thing over and over again, not finding satisfaction, then we will be ready to seek religion in the true sense. But for those people also, it is not easy. For them also, there is a long struggle. Few are brave enough to take up that struggle. But even though we may not be fit now, we are bound to be fit one day by God's grace. So, as Sri Ramakrishna has said, nothing happens but at the correct time. But it is always good to hear, so that when the time comes, we'll be ready, we'll understand. So similarly, here also when the time comes, we will understand the things we are hearing now. So we will discuss these things, real spiritual pursuit, what it is like, spiritual aspirant and spiritual pursuit. If we want to undergo spiritual practice or sadhana, we must first understand what sadhana is. So, those who are brought up in the Indian tradition know that any kind, the word sadhana encompasses a great deal. Any kind of regular and methodical striving towards a higher goal mind is sadhana. So, if a person wants to be a musician, he will go to a guru, he will start his music in a methodical way as he is guided, and he is aiming for something higher than eating, drinking, and all these worldly things. So, he has to go years and years of rigorous practice. So that practice of maybe classical music or painting or sculpture is also sadhana. So any kind of methodical striving, regular striving in which one has to deny oneself all these worldly things to some extent is called sadhana. But here we are concerned only with spiritual sadhana. So we will be discussing only that. So of course in India it is very well known and followed and discussed for thousands of years. There are many people practicing sadhana in some form or the other. But it is still necessary to discuss the nature of sadhana because many people have very strange ideas regarding that. So now we go to Swami Sardhanandaji. What does he say? Many people lose sight of the goal of sadhana and many erroneous conceptions are there. What are those? First, some people consider that mere physical mortification is sadhana. You give pain to the body, you lie on a bed of nails or do something weird, that is sadhana. Or the performance of some ritual that requires collecting various rare things, etc. So those rituals they consider that is the sadhana, that is all. Then some people consider only control of breath, pranayam is the sadhana, that is all. Or sometimes even the strange activity of deranged minds are considered sadhana. In fact, some great teachers sometimes advise people who are disturbed mentally, who are obsessed with evil impressions and habits, they give them some rites to perform so that they become slowly calm and normal, to lead a normal life. So some people consider those disciplines only, which are meant only for those few people, to be sadhana. Then of course, Some people who are attached to the world and they make some effort, they think that God can be controlled by some mantras or some particular rituals. Or even if I put some dollars in that box, God will be under my control. He will listen to me. He will give me a son. He will give me a job. That itself they consider sadhana. So all these notions are there in the world, but these are not real sadhana. What is sadhana in the spiritual sense? What is if in a few words we need to describe, what will it be? So naturally we will go to Swami Vivekananda. He says, I quote him, giving the gist of sadhana, he says, it is that which tends to liberation, which makes the bound person free, which makes the miserable person blissful. So, its direct action is to free the soul, to take the torch into the gloom. It's all dark in ignorance, we are still in ignorance. So, this spiritual light will dispel the gloom, to take the torch into the gloom, to clean out what is behind, to shake it up or even defy it, and to make us march onward, piercing the gloom. And what's the goal? Its goal is to reach the superconscious. That is the only goal, to reach God. Then when that state is reached, then what happens? This very man becomes divine. He becomes free. And to the mind thus trained to transcend the world, first it has to be trained to transcend this normal existence. When it is trained sufficiently, then what will happen? Gradually this universe will begin to give up its secrets. The book of nature will be read chapter after chapter till the goal is attained, and we pass from this valley of life and death to that one where neither life nor death exist. It is beyond both. Wherever there is life, there has to be death. Then we know the real and become the real. Then we have reached the end of sadhana. That is the final goal. Now we are not knowing the real and we have not become the real. We are just the bodies, which is not real at all. It has been born, it will die. This is the final goal. So, in the words of Sri Ramakrishna, he says, why I am telling the final goal here, we will see it. It is all connected. Swami Sādhananda writes very beautifully. So the final goal is seeing the eternal reality, which is called Brahman, Atman, God, whatever we want. Seeing that reality as all pervading. Seeing only that reality, because that is what exists. That is the last word of sadhana, Sri Ramakrishna used to say. When you see God in every being, you have reached the goal. That is the culmination of sadhana. So not only great saints, but all the scriptures, Vedas, Upanishads, support this statement. What do the scriptures say? The scriptures say that whatever we are seeing in the world is actually that non-dual reality. Call it God or Brahman, whatever you want. We are all the time interacting with that same reality in various forms, in different states. So, although we accomplish all our daily activities interacting with God, and of course with God's help, otherwise we cannot do anything, still we are unaware of it. That is the biggest tragedy. Because God is the only one which is conscious, who is conscious. All our activity are source is only one thing, consciousness. So everything we are doing, actually we are interacting with consciousness, means we are interacting with God. But we still don't realize it. We believe that we are dealing with a multiplicity of objects and persons. So when we hear statements such as these, various doubts are bound to arise in a person's mind. What are you talking about? Do you mean to say all that I am seeing is all false, and what you believe to be true is only true? All the hundreds and millions of people. So various doubts will arise. So Swami Sādhananda says, okay, to make it easy to understand, we will put forth these doubts in the form of questions and answers. A normal person, what will he ask when he hears this thing? So question, first question. You say that we are continuously interacting with God, with Brahman, but why do we not perceive what you are saying? You are saying everything is God. Why are you seeing matter instead of God? What is the answer? The answer is because we are deluded. Until the delusion is dispelled, there is no way of knowing the reality. But the problem, what is the problem? We don't even know that we are deluded. That is the main problem. How? Suppose a person is blind from his birth, suppose. He is born blind. So, when he grows up a little, if people try to tell him, no, there is a far greater reality which you cannot see because you don't have that organ. So much is hidden from you. He can never understand that. Because why? Because he has no state, he has not experienced any state to compare it with. He has never seen anything before. If we become defective in our eyes, we will know because we have seen what it is to have eyes. But a person who has never seen, how will he compare? So, when do we recognize our delusion? We recognize our delusion only by comparing our perception with real objects, real state. If we don't compare, there is no way of knowing. There has to be a basis of comparison. So, only those who have seen that supreme state realize that they know that all the rest of humankind are deluded. Because they have seen that state, experienced that state. So they know that all the people in the world, they are sleeping in the night of ignorance, in darkness. So in the praise of the Guru, that verse we chant every time, Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya. What does the Guru do? He, with the stick of knowledge in which we are, the ignorance in which we are there, the darkness of ignorance. Ajnana is ignorance, Timira is darkness. So since we are there living in the darkness of ignorance, what does he do? He opens the eyes with the stick of knowledge. Here it says that till a person has not achieved that state, he is in ignorance. So this is the problem. Since we cannot compare our state with anything better, we think that is all there is. But is there no way of knowing then that what is the condition, in what is our condition? Still there is a way of knowing. We can guess. How? Just by little examination, little analysis will tell us that how deluded we are. Simple question: what can be a greater ignorance than not knowing one's own nature? So, one moment we are referring to ourselves or our bodies, one moment we say, I have got a pain in my hand. This means the hand is mine. If hand is mine, I cannot be my hand. This computer is mine, if I say. Then can I be the computer? I cannot be something which is mine. Something which is mine means it is different from me. Is it not? If something belongs to me, I cannot be that thing. So if I say my hand is paining means the hand belongs to me. I am not the hand. But next moment we'll say, I have lost weight. This means what? One moment we are saying body is mine, another moment we are saying I am the body. I am hungry. So we don't know whether the body is ours or we are the body. If the body is ours, why do you go rush to the doctor when there is a stomach pain? So we are mistaking something which is ours, we are thinking it to be I. Is it not? So here that is simple. Anybody can see from these statements that we don't know what is our real nature. What can be what can be a proof of greater ignorance than this? So all the saints tell us this. So I will quote a very great Western saint, Saint Teresa of Avila. I don't know whether you have heard of that. Very famous. She was the disciple of another very great saint, Saint John of the Cross. So I will quote her. She describes it wonderfully. Just what we have discussed. What is our real nature? So she says, it is a shame and unfortunate that through our own fault we don't understand ourselves or know who we are. Wouldn't it show great ignorance if someone, when asked who he was, didn't know? And didn't know his father or mother or from what country he came? Then what will you call such a person? Crazy, no? Well, now, if this would be so extremely stupid, then we are incomparably more stupid. Because not only we don't know who we are, we don't even strive to know who we are, but limit ourselves to considering ourselves to be only these bodies. We have just heard somewhere that we have souls, but we don't take it seriously. If we knew, if we had real faith that we are something other than the body, then the whole life would change. So, she has written a very famous book, The Interior Castle. Here, she compares the soul to a castle. A castle has many chambers. So, she says, it is that we consider our souls to be like a castle. What is the comparison here? This is the comparison. The soul is compared to a castle made entirely of a diamond or very clear crystal, suppose, in which there are many rooms. Just like in a huge palatial 5-star hotel, 7-star hotel, there are many rooms. So let us consider that this castle has many such dwelling places. Hmm. So in a hotel, you will find what? Sir, these are the rooms. What are the prices? These are the prices. For $100 you get this. For 200 you get this. For 500 you get this. So there are many grades. Hmm. Some down below, others to the side, and the center or the middle is the main dwelling place in the castle of the soul, where God Himself dwells. So we must see how we can enter this beautiful and delightful castle if it is the place of God Himself. So now it seems that this statement is silly. If our soul is the castle, then we are already that. So what is the question of entering it? Is it not? If I say my soul is that castle, then where is the question of entering it? We are already that. So it seems we are saying something foolish, that let us see how we can enter. If this castle is the soul, clearly one doesn't have to enter it, since it is within oneself, or rather we are that. How foolish it would seem where we have to tell someone to enter a room where he is already in. But she says, I quote her, you must understand there is a great difference in the ways one may be inside the castle. So in a hotel you are there. You can be outside the hotel in the room where staff stays, or you can be in a good room, or you can be in a better room. All these things are there. So here also there are many souls who are in the outer courtyard, where the guards stay, and don't care at all about entering the castle. They are quite happy outside. Nor do they know what great treasures lie within the castle. Nor do they know who is within the castle. They don't know anything about it. So she says, you have already heard in some books on prayer that the soul is advised to enter within itself, within this castle. Not long ago, a very learned man told me, I am quoting her, not long ago, a very learned man told me that the souls who do not practice spiritual disciplines are like people with paralyzed or crippled bodies. Even though they have hands and feet, they cannot give orders to those hands and feet. They are completely paralyzed. These are souls who are extremely ill, and they are so accustomed to being involved in external matters, seeing what is outside, that there is no remedy for them till they stop seeking outside. You cannot do anything about it. What lies is inside, but these unfortunate people know only what is outside, and what is outside is nothing. They are now so used to dealing always with insects and vermin that are in the walls surrounding the castle that they have almost become like them. Think of inert things, slowly you will become inert. You will also become like them. And though they have so rich a nature and the power to converse with none other than God, there is no remedy for them if they do not strive to understand and cure their great misery. Till they themselves wake up, nothing can be done for them. So, if they don't wake up, what will happen? They will be changed into. Now she refers to a story, mythology. They will be changed into statues of salt. Means they will become completely inert, unable to turn their heads to look at themselves. Just as Lot's wife was changed for having turned her head. So, this refers to a Christian mythological story that there was one village. So, some very bad persons came from outside and they started creating havoc in that village. They all sorts of tortures and all that. So, people appealed to God. Hmm. So, God said, okay, I will save you. You just leave the village, the whole lot, with everybody. But God warned them, don't turn back to see. Just leave. So there was one lady she was the wife of a person whose name was Lot, L-O-T. She couldn't resist the curiosity. When leaving, she turned her head. So since she had defied God, immediately she became turned into a statue of salt. That is the story. Means what? She became inert. So we also, Saint Teresa says, if we are continuously thinking of those external things which are inert, we will also slowly become like them and completely forget our real nature, which we have already done. We can never even think of the great things which are lying inside the castle. We have not even entered the first room. We are busy with all the filth and dirt which is surrounding that castle. So, this is how saints inform us of our delusion. All in the Indian scriptures, you will find again and again one thing. One thing is repeated. Jago. Jago means wake up. You people sleeping in the night of ignorance, happy in this all eating, drinking nonsense, wake up. So, from this also, without even having realize the reality yet, from the words of saints and sages at least, we can have some idea of what our state is, so that we can strive to remedy this. So now we had seen that before when we had started the discussion, Swami Sādhanā had said that the culmination of spiritual practice, of spiritual life, is reached when we see the real everywhere. There is one all-pervading reality, call it Brahman or God or whatever, now which is hidden from us because of delusion. So this has been told in hundreds of ways. In the same stotra about the Guru, it is said, salutations to the Guru who has made it possible to realize Him who, as consciousness, pervades the entire universe. So again and again it has been said in various ways. So the first question has been answered, that why don't we see God everywhere? We don't see Him anywhere, let alone everywhere. So the answer is simple, you are deluded. Okay. Second question, what is the cause of this delusion? If knowing the cause, we can remove that cause, no? If the cause goes, the effect goes. If you remove the cause of delusion, delusion will go. So what is the answer? The cause of this delusion is ignorance. What else can cause delusion? Ignorance of the real nature of something will lead to delusion. There is a rope lying somewhere, we think it is a snake, we are deluded. Why? Because we are in ignorance of the real nature of the rope. So only ignorance can cause delusion, nothing else. So next question comes, okay, ignorance is the cause. When did this ignorance come? When were we overpowered by ignorance? So the answer he gives, as long as we are in ignorance, how can we know when that ignorance first came? It cannot be. Because we cannot get out of that ignorance to find out. Is it not? So, how does he make us understand this? He makes us understand this by this example. He says, as long as one is dreaming, the dream will appear to be real. So, as long as you are dreaming, how will you know when the dream started? We cannot even go to that state. Is it not? Only when we are awake, then we compare the dream with the waking state. Then we recognize the dream to be unreal, not before. We may say that sometimes even while dreaming, we may realize it is a dream. But there also, that knowledge that this dream is a dream appears in the mind from the memory of the waking state. We have been awake some time, that memory comes. Yes, and make us realize that this dream is a dream. So similarly, while perceiving the world in the waking state, some persons may have that flashes of that reality. So till we are in ignorance, we cannot know the cause of ignorance, and neither when ignorance started. So another question, then what is the way out? Now what is the solution to the problem? You have mentioned the problem, but if there is no solution, it is no use. There is a solution. One must eradicate ignorance. If ignorance is the cause of all the problems, eradicate it. That is all. That is the only cause of delusion. So, suppose now Hercules, we all know Hercules, big strong man, strongest man in the universe. So if suppose Hercules suddenly starts thinking of himself as extremely sick and weak. He is completely fine, but he is thinking, I cannot sit up, I cannot stand, I don't have any strength. So what is the remedy? The remedy is only one. Remove his ignorance about his own state. Because he is completely fine. He is just thinking himself to be weak. So here also, all that is stopping us is this ignorance. Once that is gone, we were always free. The soul is pure and free by its very nature. It is just covered by this ignorance. Liberty or freedom is nothing but destruction of this ignorance. Swami Vivekananda says, one idea I see as clear as daylight, that all our misery is caused only by ignorance and nothing else. And this ignorance can be removed. The sages were able to rid themselves of this ignorance. That is why they became sages. And they have also left us instructions for removing this ignorance. The whole scriptures is nothing. The volumes and volumes of scriptures, libraries, they are all telling us this only. First, realize that you are deluded. Then remove the cause of that delusion, which is ignorance. How to do it? We will tell you. So just in a few words, if it should be told, again I will quote Swami Vivekananda. When will this ignorance cease? The cessation of ignorance can only come when I know my real nature, that I am the Atman. So, to get rid of ignorance, identify yourself with the Atman, not with human limitations. Disidentify yourself with the body, and all pain will cease. That is the only secret. But this disidentification requires a lot of work, lot of renunciation. So now another question, this much is true. What? Okay, God is all that exists. We are always interacting with God, not knowing. Why? We are deluded. What is the cause of delusion? We are in ignorance. Can this ignorance go? It can go. So another question, okay, understood. There are many means of removing ignorance. But before the knowing the means in detail, before the knowing the sadhana in detail, we want to ask a few more questions. What? See, you say, this a normal human being is asking a saint. You assert, you say that what so many people, millions and millions of people see and experience is unreal. And that which only a few saints and sages have experienced, you say that is real. But maybe they were deluded, maybe their perceptions were wrong. Even Swami Vivekananda sometimes questioned Sri Ramakrishna. How do you know mother is talking to you? Maybe you are crazy, something like that. So it is natural for people to think like that. So we say that whom you call saints and sages, they are deluded. How can millions of people be wrong? So what is the answer? Answer is, first of all, there is no rule that what most people believe is true. Is there any rule? So there was one great magician, P.C. Sarkar. He had some strange power. He could hypnotize the entire audience. I have heard, I don't know whether it is true or not, that once he came to a magic show 10 minutes late, 5-10 minutes late. Everybody was wondering, where is he, where is he? So after coming, people asked him, why are you late? He said, who says I am late? You see your watches? Everybody saw the correct time on their watches. I don't know whether it is true or not. I have just heard it. But he had some kind of power. So hypnotize for temporarily at least. So now everybody is thinking the wrong thing there, no? And if a magician is playing tricks, he is taking rabbits out of the hat and all that. Everybody is seeing that. So do you mean to say everybody is seeing correctly because everybody is seeing it? No. There is no rule that what multitude thinks will always be right, first of all. So your argument falls to the ground. The very premise of your argument is wrong. And secondly, we know that what the saints and sages experienced, that alone is true. We know how we have direct experience of their lives after they experience the truth. We have seen how they became completely changed. Because of the knowledge that they gained, they became completely free from misery. They attained complete fearlessness and eternal peace. Nothing could shake them. In the lives of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, we see Swami Turiyananda, he was operated. Operated means a knife is entering, cutting him. He is sitting calmly. No chloroform, nothing, absolutely. Same with Swami Adbhutananda. Gangrene had developed in his leg. He had to be operated. He was sitting completely as if it is somebody else's body. So we are seeing those things, we have seen those. How can they achieve that thing? Secondly, they discovered, by that experience, they discovered the ultimate purpose of life, ultimate purpose of all actions and efforts of human life. Thirdly, we have seen that in their lives, true knowledge manifested itself as very, very great qualities: forbearance, contentment, compassion, humility. All these things were actually seen and everybody saw, not one person. So here your argument goes against you only because everybody saw those things. So naturally everybody cannot be deluded according to you. So all these changes were seen in the scriptures. We find evidence of these extraordinary qualities and powers in the lives of the saints. Otherwise, how could Jesus Christ move the entire world, influence thousands of people? Something special was there. How could Krishna rouse up the entire nation? Thousands of years still we are remembering him. There must have been some special power. So from all these direct evidences we know that they were certainly not deluded. But okay, agreed. This also agreed. But another question. This person will not leave easily. Okay, you say we are all deluded. But generally what happens? Suppose I am seeing a snake in a rope. My friend will come. He will tell me no. He will not also see the same delusion. He will correct me. If 10 persons are in the room, they will not all see the snake in the rope. But here what you are telling is all of us are experiencing the same delusion. Is it not? You say we are all deluded. We are seeing this table, chair, and not God. But we are all seeing this. So how can it be that all of us are experiencing the same delusion? What I recognize as an animal, Tom recognizes as also an animal, Harry also recognizes as an animal, not as a man. It is the same for all external objects. So it is amazing that so many people have the same delusion at the same time. And regarding all the objects, one person has, I can understand. Two persons had, I can understand. But everybody is experiencing delusion and similar. How can it be? So, answer. First of all, when you say everybody is experiencing the same delusion, first of all, your statement is wrong because the saints and sages do not experience that. So your all is within inverted commas. Is it not? Second way also we will answer, don't worry. Secondly, you ask how all people can be under the same delusion. So first of all, saints and sages don't experience delusion at all. But regarding the rest of the persons also we will answer. What is the answer? What does the scriptures say? The scriptures say the universe as we see, as we think, that is not the real nature of the universe. How does the universe arise? Universe arises by way of ideation, as an idea, where in the limitless, infinite cosmic mind, That is the real nature of the universe. God's cosmic mind, this universe arises as an idea. We all experience the same mental images. Our minds, what we experience means what? Our minds are experiencing, no? It is everything through the mind. Without mind, the organs won't see anything. So, we are all seeing the same mental images. I am seeing the chair as a chair, you are also seeing that. Why? We are experiencing through our individual minds, but we don't know that all the individual minds are part of the cosmic mind. So, whatever arises in the cosmic mind is seen by all individual minds. We are all part of the cosmic mind. How? It is very simple to understand. I have a body, but this body is made up of cells. Each cell is a living organism. So my living organism, this body, is made up of millions of living organisms. And they are all connected. They are connected as well as, in one sense, they are separate also. One cell dies, my body does not die. But till I am alive, all the cells are connected. If there are, suppose the trees are in a forest. So what is the forest without the trees? The word forest, if you exclude the trees, does it mean anything? Nothing. It is made up of trees only. Each tree is a living organism. So all this group of trees is what we call forest. So all of them are connected in that sense. That is called the macrocosm and the microcosm. The macrocosm is the whole. The microcosm is when we see it through individuals which constitute the whole. Similarly, here also, although each mind is separate in one sense, it is not separate in another sense. It is all connected to the cosmic mind. But it is also separate in one sense, because when a person attains freedom, his mind is dissolved. But that does not affect the other minds who are still connected to the cosmic mind. So the whole of the universe is built upon the same plan. The microcosm is built upon the same plan. So just as I have a mind, says Swami Vivekananda, similarly there is a cosmic mind. As in the individual, so in the universal. Universal has no meaning apart from the individual. A forest has no meaning if you exclude the trees. So first there is not only there is a mind, there is a universal gross body also. Each cell has a body, and my body is the conglomeration of those cells. Is it not? So my body can be viewed as a universal gross body. So in the universe also, there is a universal gross body. Then a universal fine body. Behind that, a universal mind. Behind that, a universal egoism. And behind that, a universal intelligence. And we are all part of that. And all this is in nature. It is all the manifestation of nature. That is why we cannot see an animal in any way we like. We have to see a cow as a cow. Because we are all connected with that universal mind. So, this is the answer to your question, that why are all of us experiencing the same delusion. Another thing is, although the world arises in the cosmic mind of the divine being, the divine being is not affected by the bond of ignorance as we are, because he is omniscient. So although ignorance may be his own power. He is not influenced by that. How? Sri Ramakrishna says, a snake has poison in its fangs. For others, it is a terrible poison, but the snake is not affected by its own poison. So, Maya or this ignorance is nothing but God's power, but it cannot bind God. So, anyway, coming back to the question, from the standpoint of the scriptures, it can be seen that this world, which is only an idea in the cosmic mind, is in a way imagined by our minds itself also, because we are also connected to the cosmic mind. Our limited minds have an inseparable relation with the collective cosmic mind. Like one's limbs are connected with the body. So this is a little difficult to understand, and we could go into detail, but we don't have the time today. So now, if going back to your earlier question, if we ask at what time did the idea of this world arise in the cosmic mind? He had asked, no, when were we in ignorance first? Means, when did this idea of the world arise in the cosmic mind? If that had not arisen, there would be no problem. We would all be one with consciousness. So, when did this idea arise? If we ask this question is illogical. We cannot say that at some time the idea of the world was not there in the cosmic mind. Suppose we say, okay, 10 million years ago, the idea of the world was not there in the cosmic mind. It came later. That statement itself is illogical, because time is a part of this idea of the world. When the idea arose, then time came into existence. So we cannot say at this time the idea arose, then we will separate time. So all these are part of this idea: time, space, causation, name and form. So this is not possible that this idea arose at some time, because name and form, or space and time, they are both the same thing, without which there cannot be any diversity in creation. If the name and form of this particular thing and that particular thing are gone, it is the same thing, the same reality. So, if this idea of name and form, these are not included in the idea of the world, they are eternally separate from that idea. That is not true. Time is a part of this world, a part of that idea, a part of ignorance. That is why the Vedic scriptures have taught that this Prakriti or Maya, or the basic cause of the creative power, is without beginning and beyond time. If the world is an idea of the mind, and if the beginning of that idea is not within what we know as time, then naturally we cannot say when that idea arose. That time itself is a part of that idea. So this is the gist. Because our limited individual minds have been experiencing this idea since eternity, we are firmly convinced that the world is real. Because we have been telling ourselves this lie through the beginning of time. So we have become convinced that black is white just by lying ourselves to ourselves again and again. So what is the problem? We have hypnotized ourselves. We have told ourselves the untruth for so long that we are firmly convinced that it is true. That is why Swami Vivekananda says, Everybody is hypnotized already. The work of attaining freedom, realizing one's own real nature, consists only in dehypnotization. The whole process of spiritual growth is dehypnotization. Leave that idea that the world is real. But we cannot leave. Why? Because we are so attracted to the world. Don't spend hours in the shopping mall, it is real. But we cannot resist ourselves. We are so attracted. Don't spend hours putting various colors on your face. The body is not real. But we cannot dehypnotize because we are so much attached to the unreal. Till this attachment is there is no question of even wanting to dehypnotize. This darkness, we are considering it as blissful. This life of ignorance, we think that is the only life. What is life without a husband, wife, children, if we don't celebrate our grandchildren's birthday? Unimaginable life. So because we are considering this world, we are considering this outer walls of the castle with all the insects and vermin, disease, death, misery. We are clinging to these things. Because we are clinging, we cannot even start the process of sadhana, which is dehypnotization. That is why renunciation is a most integral part of spiritual life. That tells us to defy what we are seeing. Tells us again and again, don't again fall into this trap. Till you are attached to untruth, you cannot come to truth. But we don't understand. Again and again we continue to suffer. Only when suffering crosses all limits, then we start waking up. So, saints and sages tell us, you need not go through all that suffering. Just have faith in our words. Why wait for that terrible grind? Have faith in our words and try to get out as early as possible. That is the whole process of sadhana. Trying to get out of this miserable existence. And all the means are already there in our scriptures. The same thing has been said in hundreds of thousands of ways. Why? Because our minds have become so corrupted. Once hearing, we cannot understand. It has to be told in hundreds of ways. Slowly that idea will go. Remove false ideas. In one day it will not happen. That is why the process is sometimes long. But long or short, today or tomorrow, we have to go through that. Ultimately we cannot be satisfied with what the world has to offer. So this is the gist of the Sādhaka, the spiritual aspirant, and sadhana as told by our saints and sages. By now you must be having a terrible headache, so I will
For sure.
stop.